The same meal, yet two different worlds. On one side, leftover portions from charity programs. On the other, lavish feasts with delicacies and expensive wine. And yet they coexist within the same country. This is India, the world's fourth largest economy. India is home to the third highest number of millionaires after the US and China, but also among the top 44 countries with the highest poverty rates, a paradox that has persisted for centuries. But why? This is Anant Ambani, the son of one of Asia's richest billionaires, Mukesh Ambani. In July 2024, the lavish wedding of Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant became a global media sensation. The wedding cost up to $600 million USD. Now, imagine you're working a job that pays $5,500 USD a month. You'd have to keep grinding for another 9,090 years just to earn that much. Not only did the wedding attract attention for its extravagant spending, but it also brought together a powerful guest list: billionaires, top global politicians, celebrities worldwide. Just 3 kilometers away from the wedding venue lies Dharavi, the largest slum in the world, a place where people live alongside rats and cockroaches. With an average density of 1 million people per square kilometer, it's 34 times higher than the average population density of New York City. Not to mention the severe lack of basic amenities like electricity, clean water, and proper drainage systems. Currently, around 93 million people across India live and survive in slums like these. According to the World Bank's 2024 report, about 129 million people in India still endure extreme poverty, earning less than $2.15 per day. That amounts to roughly 10% of the country's total population. Each year, over 800 million people in India rely on the government's food security program. According to the 2024 Global Hunger Index, India is ranked as one of the hungriest countries in the world. This country ranks 105th out of 127 countries, although there are no official statistics on the number of people who die from hunger each year. However, these stories are still happening every day in India. I live one day at a time, not knowing if I will have food tomorrow. I'm not sure if I will survive this hunger. When my children cry because of hunger, I feel like I should kill myself. Nasreen Khatun told Vice World News. In 2020, 5-year-old Sonia Kumari from the Agra district of Uttar Pradesh died after she had nothing to eat for 15 days. The case of Mrs. Khatun and little Sonia is just one of millions of heartbreaking stories of hunger in India. Meanwhile, the number of billionaires in India continues to grow steadily each day. Between 2018 and 2024, India was estimated to add 70 new millionaires every single day. According to the World Inequality Report 2022, the top 1% of India's population holds more than 40% of the nation's wealth, while the bottom 50% own just 3%. While India is home to some of the world's top billionaires, millions of others are left waiting to die from lack of food. It's a reality that has long existed in this country. The roots of this paradox run deep in the social structure of India and have done so for thousands of years. The caste system. It is the root cause of wealth inequality in Indian society. The caste system is a form of social stratification based on inherited status and lineage. Poverty in India isn't just about lacking money. It's a chain of inherited status and institutionalized injustice, passed down from one generation to the next. This is a complex and enduring structure that has shaped Indian society for thousands of years. The system dates back over 3,000 years. This was the period when the Vedas began to take shape. The foundational ideas of Hinduism were also formed during this time. Alongside them emerged an early form of social division known as Varna. Take a look at the following chart. This is how the Varna system is structured. Society is divided into 4 social groups, each representing a distinct class or tier. The highest caste is the Brahmins, meaning the priestly class, scholars and spiritual leaders believed to have the ability to connect with the divine. Second are the Kshatriyas. This class represents warriors and kings, those who carry the responsibility of ruling and protecting the country. Third are the Vaishyas. This class consists of farmers, craftsmen and merchants. Their role is closely tied to economic activities, contributing to the country's prosperity. And finally, the Shudras, also known as the laboring class. This group consists of manual workers who serve the other three classes above. However, there is another group not included in this system. They are the Dalits. They perform jobs considered impure, such as cleaning, animal slaughter, and handling dead bodies. They're regarded as unclean and are marginalized outside the traditional social hierarchy. Originally, Varna was created to divide occupations in a relatively flexible way, but over time, under the influence of various ruling powers, it transformed into a more complex caste system in society, known as Jati. Importantly, Jati is not only present within the Hindu community, but has also spread to many other religious groups in India. Especially during the colonial period, the British authorities exploited this system, turning it into a tool for governance and control. Since then, caste has ceased to be a mere belief system and has become an undeniable reality. People born into a caste are destined to die within that caste. Marrying outside one's caste is strictly forbidden. If a man from a lower caste dares to marry a woman from a higher caste, their children will be labeled as outcasts. Those in the lower castes are obligated to show respect to those above them. Additionally, they are not allowed to live in areas designated for higher castes. Even the laws of that time were discriminatory. The severity of punishment depended on the caste of both the victim and the perpetrator. For the same crime, lower caste individuals were punished more harshly. If they were victims, the higher the victim's caste, the greater the compensation they received. No matter how talented or hardworking you are, you cannot escape your caste. Essentially, these rules are deeply tied to the beliefs of Hinduism. Being born into a lower caste means paying the price for sins from your past life, while a high status is a reward for good karma. Injustice, therefore, is not opposed but accepted as part of the cosmic order. The Hindu scriptures clearly state, a Brahmin under the age of 10 may be considered the father of someone from lower castes, even if that person is 100 years old. After thousands of years, this belief has become deeply ingrained in the consciousness of every Indian, to the extent that, although the Indian Constitution banned caste discrimination in 1950, in reality, the caste system still quietly influences every aspect of life. From who gets to go to school, who gets hired, to who can access land, credit, or even clean water. Someone born as a Dalit has limited access to quality education. If they do receive an education, the chance of being hired by companies is thousands of times more difficult. If they want to start a business, they lack inherited assets and receive no credit support. In India, once a servant, always a servant. In contrast, the higher castes often hold land, social connections, and a tradition of education. Therefore, they have the opportunity to accumulate and pass down wealth through generations. What's worse is that violence against communities considered low caste is becoming increasingly severe. In 2022 alone, according to the National Crime Records Bureau of India, there have been 57,582 crimes targeting this community. Acts of violence include murder, rape, assault, and arson. The paradox in this disparity also stems from a severely unbalanced economic development. Cities like Mumbai, Bengaluru, and Hyderabad have risen to become vibrant financial and technology hubs, attracting global investment. Among them, states like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu are rapidly developing with modern infrastructure, smart cities, and high-tech zones. However, on the flip side, many states such as Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh remain mired in persistent poverty. Their infrastructure is outdated, and the majority of people rely primarily on agriculture and central government aid. The per capita GDP of Goa, one of India's wealthiest states, can be 8 to 10 times higher than that of Bihar, one of the poorest states in the country. Moreover, India's tax policies also contribute to widening the wealth gap. India once implemented wealth tax as a tool to target the super rich, but it was abolished by the government in 2015. By 2019, corporate taxes were also sharply cut. Meanwhile, indirect taxes within the country soared. Essentially, this type of tax is similar to a value-added tax, or VAT. For example, the government imposes this tax on a production unit. The company then adds this cost to the price of goods. Therefore, although indirect taxes are not directly levied on consumers, they end up being the ones who bear the final impact. Every citizen has to pay the same fee regardless of their income level. In other words, a poor worker and a millionaire both pay nearly the same amount of tax when buying a bottle of cooking oil or a pack of butter. The burden of indirect taxes has driven living costs skyrocketing. In a country where hundreds of millions live in poverty, this only serves to worsen the hunger crisis. It is undeniable that the Indian government has made many efforts in the fight against poverty and reducing inequality. Right after gaining independence in 1947, the country launched a series of large-scale social programs such as rural development, food distribution, free education, preferential policies for lower castes. One of the most prominent policies is the reservation policy. This is a preferential mechanism for people from lower castes in public universities, government agencies, and the parliament. It's similar to the affirmative action policies based on race in the United States. The goal is to create equal opportunities in employment and education. However, this policy faces two major problems. First, the benefits do not reach the right people. Many relatively well-off individuals within the lower castes receive these advantages, while the truly poor are left behind. Second, it causes resentment among the middle class. They feel excluded from opportunities because they're not given priority, despite their hard work. The consequence is that instead of alleviating inequality, this policy deepens social divisions. In addition, the Indian government has implemented various poverty alleviation programs. A notable example is the food distribution system, which provides food at highly subsidized rates or for free to the poor. However, these programs have not been highly effective, as they lack sustainability. Subsidies only address immediate needs and do not provide a long-term pathway out of poverty. Another reason lies in the severe corruption within the administrative system. This program receives substantial funding from billionaires and international organizations. However, it still frequently faces financial shortfalls. The TII-CMS study also revealed that PDS service was not readily available, as 5.36 million below poverty line families had to pay bribes or grease the wheels to avail services that were basically meant for them. The majority pointed out that they had bribed officials or staff in order to get ration cards. A typical example can be found in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which has the largest population of poor people in India. Many food distribution centers falsified the number of recipients. More than 60% of the food supplies were lost and sold on the black market. Many people, even if their names were on the list, could still be removed. It's estimated that around 100 million people in need of food assistance are not included in this program. Despite repeated government calls to clean up the system, India has remained among the most corrupt countries in the world for over 30 years. That is the vicious cycle that the world's fifth largest economy has yet to break free from. Food subsidies, free education, and preferential policies for the poor all share a common trait. They only address the surface of the problem. As long as the caste system exists, the poor will remain imprisoned by their fate. According to 2025 data from the International Monetary Fund, India has officially surpassed Japan to become the world's fourth largest economy. However, India's per capita income in 2025 is only around $2,800 USD. In fact, the country doesn't even rank among the top 100 nations in terms of GDP per capita. India holds many advantages to continue its rapid growth. However, it is being held back by the very inequality that persists within its society. Because an economy cannot achieve sustainable growth if the majority of its people lack the purchasing power to spend, the government must continuously subsidize the poor instead of collecting taxes from them. This increases the burden on the national budget. Moreover, inequality leads to a severe waste of resources. India is one of the most populous countries in the world, with a workforce of over 600 million young people under the age of 30. Yet, the country has failed to capitalize on this demographic advantage. According to a report by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, over 25% of the young population in this South Asian nation falls into the 3 no category: no employment, no education, and no training. The demographic dividend could soon turn into a national burden. Unskilled workers without vocational training can only take on manual, low-paying jobs. Many women are also excluded from the workforce due to social barriers. Development without inclusivity is like building a skyscraper on a fractured foundation. It may take a very long time for India to eliminate this deep-rooted inequality. A $600 million wedding may astonish the world, but right next to it, hundreds of people are torn between eating today or saving food for tomorrow. It's not because they're lazy or lack effort, but because they were born at the bottom of a social ladder that was shaped thousands of years ago. India is a great economy, that's beyond question. But what does that greatness mean if it belongs only to a select few?